start.
Ready.
We'll call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock on Monday, August 26th. Let the record reflect that all elected board members are present. And I thought Cameron was going to be here, but she might. If not, we'll go without her. A flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
No, I want to just recognize during part of my report, when we recognize those that have donated, that the school board also made a donation to the backpack giveaway. Didn't want to miss that, so.
So technically, no real additions or changes.
No, that's a real addition.
All right, we have one, but that's going to be during the meeting, correct, for the venture out? Okay.
Yeah.
No public comment today. That's a first. So we don't, what? Oh, yes. We did get one email comment that will be added to the record. But it was regarding the budget and urging us not to approve the budget because of the bond. But the person doesn't, I don't think, got that the bond is not part of the budget. So I just want to clarify that, but this will be made part of the record and added to the meeting minutes.
And then we'll address it more fully at the
Yes.
next meeting. Okay.
And we do have questions, questions that came up before that we can answer today. There was a question from the audience last meeting, which seems like a long time ago. It was back in June or July. LGO bond and interest, what was that for? There were 3 LGO bonds. They each were for different items. I have all that if anyone is interested. I will give this to the person that asked it. Other question was contractors paid in funds from Transportation Cooperative. Why was it taking until 2031 to pay off? 100% of the first Capital 3 projects levy collections were directed to the Transportation Co-op. So all the money that we received went straight into that, and it's paid off now, the co-op?
Co-op will be paid off when the capital levy is done. What you take out is what's called a TAN, tax anticipation note, because levies come twice a year. Contractors want the money to be paid.
Yeah.
They don't wait for the levy to come in. Tax anticipation note has some restrictions around how it works. Otherwise, school districts might be tempted to take a loan out to build a school, which would put the community in serious financial distress. So it was paid off in February of 2024, but we needed some money to get the project started until the levy kicked in. So there is no loan money of any kind, tax anticipation note or otherwise, that is still outstanding for the Transportation Cooperative. It will be 100% paid off. The community, taxpayers who own the building won't owe a penny on it after 2026.
Nice. Another question, enrollment projections. Why do we use Flow Analytics when we can get those projections from OSPI or Snohomish County? OSPI and the county don't do in-depth analysis. They don't analyze growth, birth rates, and any of that. So we use Flow Analytics because it's a 10-year projection is what they did. Is that correct?
Yeah, 10-year.
And it's paid for by the developer, so 1.5 impact fees paid for us to get Flow Analytics to do that. And then also note state funding is based on FTE. Flow Analytics provided us with more in-depth analysis because the others, OSPI and Snohomish, they use head count, not FTE. And those are been notoriously off from actual enrollment. There was a question about ballots. An audience member said that he knew people that didn't receive ballots. That would be a question for Snohomish County. The district has nothing to do with sending out ballots or collecting ballots. And the last one was a question on the bond. Bonds are for buildings. And he stated that raises were gonna be in the bond. No staff salaries have ever been paid from a bond. The last bond approved in the Sultan School District was in 1998 for Sultan Elementary School, and the last bond paid off by the district was in December of 2017. So those were the questions that we received at our last meeting. All right, consent agenda. Did anyone have any questions on consent agenda items? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so moved. Let's see. Committee and association reports, are there any of those today? Nope. Cameron is not here. Community announcements, we're just gonna remind everyone, September 4th is the first day for grades 1 through 5 and 6 and 9. September 5th is the first day for 7 and 8 and 10 through 12. September 9th is the first day for kindergarten, and the 16th, there is no school that day, it's a staff development day. Board comments. Mike, do you have anything that you'd like to comment?
Not at this time.
Michael?
No, ma'am.
Isaac? Marion? All right. Mike Merritt, do we have Mike Merritt tonight?
He
No?
was here today, I don't know where he is tonight, it's not
Okay.
back there.
Well, it just makes things go much quicker when there's no one here. Dr. Paul Douglas, you're here, I saw you. You don't get out of it.
All right. So every year, I try and come up with some visions for student services. So I thought this year, why not share them with you guys, and that helps me be held accountable, but it also gives you an idea of some of the focus for the year. So since I'm getting old, I have to put these on, so let me read those to you. So, and please ask a question, because it's for me, and so some of it is in the language that we use in special ed and some of the other things. So all students in LRE 1 and LRE 2 attending Sultan School Districts must have access and opportunity to learn essential learnings of their goal areas and at the grade level. The exceptions are those students in LRE 3 exclusively. Just to let you know, LRE 1 is in general education the majority of their time, 80 to 100% of the time.
Can you define LRE?
Least restrictive environment. That all students, and these are our belief statements, all students need to understand they can learn and be successful. All students in LRE 1 and 2 have the capability of demonstrating mastery of essential learnings with grade level content with appropriate modifications and accommodations. And then we believe data showing student growth and progress essential and providing feedback to educators, students, and parents. Students, parents, and teachers, school administrators, and central office administrators are responsible and accountable for ensuring students meet their IEP goals. Students unsheltered or in foster care should have access and opportunity to grade level standards, athletic experiences, clubs, PTO events, as well as community events. Some of the areas of our focus this year is our co-teaching, both at the middle and high school. Thank you, Kim and Laura are helping with that implementation. Removing stigma on students with disabilities. So one of the things that we're working on this year is not using the term special education teacher. They are a teacher first, and they just happen to teach students with special needs. So,
I like that.
data, heavy focus on data. We use data for our decision making, and that's a huge focus for this year, along with some legal requirements that force us to maintain data that's in the benefit for all students to have the data. Parent-student advisory group for problem-solving barriers. I talked a little bit about that, I think a month or two ago. So that's still, I included students on that, because I really want to hear student voice on it, to overcome some of the barriers. Reboot our transition program, that's the 18 to 22-year-old program. We have a new teacher this year, so an opportunity to reboot that and get our students that are in the 18, 22-year-old program out into the community and working for us, hopefully, because we're always shorthanded. We have a student last year that had a job shadow, and he now works for us in terms of volunteers, about 10 hours a week. So we have a couple other students that I'd love to get into our program. Specific data, growth, supporting students qualified for McKinney, Bento, and foster care. Those are our students that are unsheltered or homeless. We need to do a better job on tracking those students. Adaptive sports activities, both in schools and community, and unified sports in the middle school and high school. So, since we have a new athletic director and special programs or recreational programs, it'd be good at the time to work with Chris and see if we get some of those programs going. Love to see a unified team in one of our athletic sports this year.
That'd be great. Do you guys have any questions for Paul? Michael?
No.
Okay. Thank you,
Thanks,
appreciate
Paul.
it.
Thanks, Paul.
Monthly financial report.
All right, evening directors. I'll keep my comments brief because we kind of touched on some of this stuff during the budget presentation prior hour. But again, the tax report that I provide to you each month, it just basically, we're coming up to here shortly, the fall collection for calendar year 2024. That'll put us, the fall collection will put us then halfway through our current levy cycle. So that is their budget status reports, which I'm required to provide to you each month for the month of July. General fund, $2,690,643.89. Fund 20, your capital projects fund, just under $2 million, $1,959,646. Fund 30, your debt service fund, $127,407.68. Fund 40, your ASB, again, ASB is all schools, all areas, $183,406. And the final one, Fund 90, which is your transportation vehicle fund, $3,496. As I had mentioned earlier, typically we don't keep a lot of money in there. In the month of August, we'll get the annual depreciation allocation will come in for transportation vehicle fund. So, as far as the exceptions reports for July, I kind of touched on it during the budget session, is that we look at where we're at. Again, now we're 11/12ths of the way through the fiscal year. So we're through July, just have 1 month left in our fiscal year, which ends August 31st. And overall, we've done a very good job, both from the revenue side, but in this looking at the expenditure side and really slowing down expenditures. When we had that very abrupt realization back early September last year, that our actual number of enrollment was significantly below what we had projected for enrollment, I had addressed you and basically said that, we were looking at a shortfall of about $1.2 million in revenue, and that we really needed to be very active in looking at our expenditures. And I think we've done a very good job. It's been a cooperative effort across district-wide. Something that no one person or persons can help make that outcome happen, but I think we've done a good job. And because of that, things we've been able to kind of claw back some of those shortfalls in revenues and mitigate to a good extent the impact of that shortfall. So, as far as salaries and benefits, we are now 2% below proportionate share. So again, 11/12ths of the way through the year, we're 2% below budget as far as salaries and benefits are concerned. Material supplies and operating costs were 5.1% below share. And if you take all areas, salaries, benefits, and material supplies and operating costs were 2.6%. For comparison purposes, I looked a year ago. A year ago, at the end of July, we were 1.3% below. So we've doubled that. We're 2.6% below proportionate share on budget this year. We were 1.3% below last year. So that tells me that, again, we've worked very hard. Now, there have been some anomalies, obviously some things that have popped up in these reports, and as I've made comments to, probably the one that sticks out the most is our CTE program at the middle school. The CTE program was officially began in the second half of this year. It was not budgeted for, so a year ago when we were having these same types of meetings, these budget meetings, we did not have middle school CTE figured into that budget, but it was something that was brought forth, and because of that, we've obviously got some, from a percentage basis and from a dollar standpoint, some significant discrepancies, but again, that was because that was not formally put into the budget. It is formally in the budget this year for this upcoming year, so, okay? So that's kind of an anomaly or a distortion to see that middle school CTE percentages are quite significant as far as the discrepancies. Then as far as forecasting forward, again, 1 month left. I put in the budget 1.335 million, the actual number is 1.336841, but rounded it to 1.335 million as we're going. We still have, in the month of August, we have now completed 2 of the 3 AP cycles, accounts payable cycles. We'll have one more, will be on the 19th of September, which will catch all remaining bills attributable to fiscal year 23-24 and accrue them back to August, even though the payments will go out in September. We have now made the payment, this last round did make the payment for the gym floor. So that was a fairly significant payment. We had been paid previously, but the payment actually went out for gym floor. The end of the year, we do have a lot of expenditures. However, I think that based on the first 2, the number that is shown there is probably high. I don't think that we will have the total amount of expenditures for accounts payable as we had thought initially when we put this together. So there's a possibility that will change. Basically, now that that number has been put into the budget, though, it'll just be as the year end. So we'll have year-end adjustments, and then we'll have what's called the F-196, which is the year-end report that will be submitted, but that does not affect the budget. The budget is already will be adopted later on in this meeting. And then as far as for 23-24, the 1.336 million would be 3.4%. So below the 4% target, but not as far below as it was a few months ago. We've steadily been able to increase that number based on unanticipated revenues. Department of Natural Resources revenues have been higher than budget. We've had a number of benevolent donations that have come into the district for various things this year that we have not had previously. So there's been some things that have definitely broken our way as far as the revenue stream is concerned. There's some unanticipated revenues, and like I said, a very cooperative effort in trying to control expenditures over the last 9+ months. So that's my report.
Mike, questions?
No, thank you, Dan.
Michael?
No.
Isaac?
Nope.
I have none. Marion?
No.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Dan.
Mike Marion, I saw you snuck in. Do you have something for us?
I do, yes. Excuse my tardiness. I was called it. I had to stay on or I would have lost my place. Thank you very much. Glad to be here today. I'm going to talk about our PD opportunities that we've had in the month of August. So we had a total of 16 opportunities, and so far through today we've had 93 participants. Of our teachers mainly, we did have a few of them that had pairs in them also. Tomorrow is our math focus day, so we will be here at, all of the elementary teachers will be here tomorrow for iReady Math, which is our newly adopted, and this is our first of several in a series of iReady Math trainings from the company. So we'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and we're also starting at the high school with some SAVIS mathematics. We have a trainer coming in to work with the high school in the morning and then the middle school in the afternoon. So that will be all of the elementary teachers, and then approximately, I think we're probably, I'll just say 9 or 10 in morning and afternoon up there. And then on Thursday, we're moving our social emotional learning assembly. Typically, this is the assembly that the state requires us to do. We alternate with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and so every other year we have each one. We moved it from the February date, which is right after President's Day weekend, Tuesday, and we moved it to before school, so we get a full year of opportunity to have that. And I know that some of you may know Mary Kate, I believe it's DeHinnans, from Unified Counseling. She was here to present to a group in the district in the spring, and we have her to present in 2 different settings. The entire secondary staff will be in the morning, and the entire elementary staff will be in the afternoon at the high school in Commons. And so it's kind of been a very busy month for us, and we're very excited to continue to support our teachers and with professional development. That's all I have.
Thank you. Questions?
No, thank you.
Marian?
I had one
Yes.
question. Can you refresh my memory when our new HR person starts?
September 3rd.
Thank you. Thank you. In regards to professional development moving into the next school year.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, discussion of link system for track and field.
Alright, well, thanks for having me back. I came to after you guys last spring for our links timing system. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions on the importance for that. It's the current system what we have for track and field, but what I'm asking for is for the additional add-on so that we can start timing cross-country races. We had our first cross-country practice today. We have 20 kids signed up. I'm hoping a couple more come out. So our team has doubled in size this year. As far as I can go back, I think the biggest turnout we've had for cross-country in Sultan history was 22 kids. So we're pushing a new record there. We're gonna have our first girls team in over 20 years, since 2005, to have a girls team. So a lot of good stuff happening for cross-country. When I left off in the spring, you guys had a couple of questions. One, you want to see an earnest effort for some fundraising coming in. So cross country at the high school has 3 approved fundraisers that will be running out this year. And the other question that was left out there was the concern for trying to purchase it in the spring. Your guys' main question was, could we push it later and so we get the timing system in, but have it rolled over to the next year's budget, which was post September 1st. So we are kind of in that window now. The timing system has a 20-day lead time for it to arrive. It'd be nice to have the tech department have about a week with it before we actually need to use it, so we can test it out and work out any bugs. So that gives us till about next Tuesday or Wednesday, pushing it to the very latest, to actually make the purchase for the system to use it this year. The company is more than happy to post date till after September 1st if we make the purchase immediately. So I think those were the couple of things you guys wanted addressed. So hopefully that can happen, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys have about the system or any details.
So it looks like you have 15 teams signed up for your invitational race for $200 each,
Correct.
correct? Okay, so that,
We may have a few more pop in. We kind of want to cap the high school race at around 15 teams, but the middle school race that we're going to do that Friday, a lot of middle schools won't add on invitationals until the first week or 2 of school. So we may see some other middle school teams joining, shortly, next couple of weeks.
so it looks like the fundraising, about 4,300 is what you're planning right now before
Yep.
any other ones?
Somewhere in that ballpark.
And then the total
The
was
total for the timing system is
10,207.
about 10,000. The tech department said that they could cover the cost of the software updates, so that would be about 1,000 coming from the tech department. The middle school cross-country head coach said that if this timing system gets approved, that they'll also initiate some fundraisers. So we'll have some money coming from the middle school to help out with that.
Does the software stuff, is that included in the 10,000?
Yes.
Okay, so then,
Yep, it's included in that quote.
so you're looking at about 5,300 that you need from us until they do more fundraisers, it sounds like?
Yeah, so the big one, the return of the salmon, is gonna be a continuous every year thing. So if we get 15 teams a year, we're gonna have a continuous $3,000-4,000 revenue coming in each and every year. So it'll be paid off in probably 2 years, and then after that, we'll just be having profit after the system.
So I have some questions.
Yep.
With our new budget fiscal year, would we be able to purchase and let them do their fundraising and pay us back a fixed amount? Like if we said 4,000, that we'll pay all of it, and then you pay us 4,000 through the course of the school year.
Yep.
That's the plan, that's what we discussed
That's-
at the last
okay.
meeting, that we would pay for it, and then they would, if you
Mhm.
had,
Thanks back.
yeah, pay us back, but with more concrete
Sure.
information.
Numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm comfortable saying that if they raise 4,000, we'll pick up the tab. If we have it, if there's a spot in our budget that we could do it.
Let's
Dan
see if
and
there's
Dan.
any other questions before we, do you have more questions? Mike, questions?
Nope, my motion to approve, so I'll just put the motion out there.
Michael, questions?
No questions.
Questions? Okay, we have no questions, so can I get a motion to approve purchase of Link's system for track and field with the stipulation that their fundraiser dollars will come back to the district until it's been paid for?
I make that motion to approve the full purchase.
Mike
with-
already motioned.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You just asked for a
Second
motion. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, you got it.
I'll have Dave Moon contact Links
So-
again tomorrow to get an updated quote, and so we can.
So we wanna
Well,
make sure it gets
That's right, that's what I was
approved.
gonna ask you, updated quote,
Yep.
60 days, this happened in April. Do you anticipate a change? Did you talk to them about the time, kind of where we were as a district?
Yeah, no, not, when I asked them back in April about the September 1st day, so they knew that this was all in discussion.
Okay, so it's not gonna be $2,000 more or whatever?
It might be slightly less, because right now we have some of the chip reader tags.
Uh-huh.
It's more expensive through that company, so I found a much cheaper company.
Okay.
So we're gonna take off the tags probably from them, so it might be a little bit less.
So you're approved for the amount on this invoice
Give
that
them
you
a
sent in?
coupon.
Anything
Yeah.
different?
A coupon.
Yeah, let us know if it's gonna be different, because then we have to approve it.
Yeah,
Separate, so.
we'll reach out tomorrow and get that
Okay,
taken care of and sent to you guys.
I
Where
just
do you?
got a message from Dave Moon and he said it will not be more.
Yeah,
He's
thanks,
listening.
Dave.
yep. Perfect.
Awesome, thank you.
Where do you
Thanks for
want me
coming
to
back.
send that quote? Just,
Give it to Dave Moon to hand off to Dan Chaplick
Perfect.
and Dan Butler. Thank you.
thank you guys very
The
much.
quote from them,
Yeah,
the
from
company?
Leeds.
Yeah,
They'll send a,
straight to these two, Dans.
perfect. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Approval of Venture Out Club. Kim and Allison.
Oh, there.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for seeing us. I'm Allison. And I'm Kim. And we are trying to get the Venture Out Club approved for Sultan Middle School and hopefully also be able to bring the high school into it. This club is all about teaching the kids of Sultan about the outdoor exploratory opportunities that are surrounding us being here in the mountain area. This is something that, especially for me, I started teaching skiing at 14 as an 8th grader, and so being able to bring kids into the ski industry specifically, but also the other things, has been very important to me. So this year, with Kim's help, I reached out to Vail Resorts, which is obviously owns Stevens Pass. I am fairly well connected up there because I worked for them for like 10 years. And we got a ski bus opportunity and a multi-week lesson opportunity set up for our kids here in Sultan. On top of that, we also got, through the Epic Promise Foundation, an anticipatory scholarship for 50 kids to have lessons, rentals, and lift tickets for the 6-week program. So 50 kids, it would be absolutely no cost to us, paid for by Vail. So yeah, the ski bus would be just the 6 weeks, it'd be the lessons. We also have 60 lift tickets for chaperones. So for people who want to come with the ski bus, they also would be able to ski for free on those days. Questions was in that quote as well, but, I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, so, I'm Kim Gilreath, I'm the assistant principal at the middle school. You know, we're always looking for opportunities to get our kids connected with things that will help improve their, not just their physical health, but their physical health, their mental health, their connection to, positive things in our area that they can do with their time, so that they make, you know, good choices and all those things. So we started looking at other opportunities. A lot of our kids participate in organized sports, which is fantastic, but we also miss a huge group of our kids because they don't choose to do team sports and they have other types of interests. And so it got us really looking at what we could do to engage some of those kids that have other interests and get them maybe out of the house instead of playing video games outside, doing things that would lead to a lifelong positive experience. So we are actually, so the club will incorporate all outdoor, lots of different outdoor activities. Sultan School District, the middle school particularly, had a program in the past called Venture Out. That's where the idea of the name came from. Teachers organized outings for kids and put it together, and then kids just got to sign up and go take part in those different outings, and it was a way to expose our kids to just a lot more than they would get exposed to. Some of them live here and have never even thought of having the chance to go skiing or hiking or rafting on our rivers that we're known for. And so this is our chance to use experts in our area. So this is, none of this would be, all of it would have expert input into it so that we make sure that they're learning to safely use those things. You know, the rivers are a big concern around here because a lot of kids don't really know about water safety. So everything that we would do would incorporate teaching them about safety of using those activities or participating in those. Career opportunities, there's a ton of career opportunities right in our valley. And we have tons of experts. So we've reached out to a bunch of them. We have a whole bunch of people as well, not just Vail, but we have Outdoor Adventure Outfitters in Index wanting to partner with us. They've been leading kayaking and whitewater rafting trips for more than 20 years. They're actually the leading safety expert trainer for the entire country. They do all the Mountaineer trips for the last 20 years for kids, all their camps. So they have a ton of expertise. They have the understanding of how to do it safely, and they are willing to provide free experiences for us, as well as look at opportunities in the future that would be a little bit beyond that for our kids that have really found an interest in it. They're also offering to give us bikes for our mountain bike club. They have a fleet of mountain bikes that they said they would donate. We have a coach up in, she just moved to Skykomish, but she actually started Cedar Crest Mountain Bike Club and ran that for 10 years. She's willing to coach for us and wants to get partner with Skykomish to offer their kids something as well, because a bunch of our kids end up going both directions. So we have coaches volunteering to coach. We have some adaptive programs that we've reached out to get our kids who need some special services that are really on board and excited about it. You guys have in front of you kind of the plan for it, but I also have this grant that we just finished putting together. It actually lists all of our programs that we're going to partner with in order to get it going, if this works. We're asking the OSPI Outdoor Education Grant for $23,000 to provide all of the transportation, because that'll be the main cost, especially for the ski bus program. We pretty much have all the costs covered as far as what the kids will be doing there, but we don't, I got a quote with Renee and Charlie and Ocasas to have 2 buses, if we had enough kids to take 2 buses up there for all 6 weeks. It would run us about $5,000, so we have a grant. That's just one, obviously, piece of the $23,000 grant. But I'm happy to share all the details from the grant. Our kids are very excited and interested in this, so they actually voted as an ASB last year to approve this, the starting of this club. It will be run under ASB. Allie is the ASB advisor, but she will also be the advisor for this club separately. And then I'm the administrator administrator over for ASB, but I'll also be the administrator over this club, and be actively involved, with helping to make sure we have all the experts in place to make it happen. That was a lot of information in a really fast amount of time, so you guys have questions for us?
I think my questions would be, our risk, is like insurance and things like that, and I think, Jen Ballard had some information earlier, like, does our insurance cover these kids going out there? Can we put them on our buses? That kind of stuff. What's
I
our
read
risk?
through all the stuff that Dan sent, it looks like the only thing they really don't cover is kayaking. But we can also get supplemental insurance for that. Mountain biking, when the kids register with the, Washington Student, Cycling League, they actually get additional insurance, comes with it for every kid, that signs up for the league. It's an additional rider that is provided for every kid that's part of that membership. It looks like ski buses aren't covered if you're trying to lease it out to a different nonprofit or a different organization, but we will be doing it ourselves for our own program. This won't be a separate program. It is an ASB program, so it all falls under that. I'm sure there are other things we'll need to consider, and Dan and I can definitely go through all the risk analysis in a more specific way. I know for the water activities, there is actually, they have insurance, and we can do waivers and we can get additional insurance for that as well.
My other question would be, are you guys asking for money from us?
No,
Okay, that's what we're gonna know.
no, we are trying to get. So we just got this grant all put together. I've been talking to the people at OSPI. It sounds pretty promising. They have money available. They're looking for just these kinds of things. The healthy youth surveys came back. Kids are not spending nearly enough time being physically active and outside. And it's a huge concern because the mental health aspect of that is really significant. So they're really pushing to try to get people to apply for these grants. This is separate from the grant that they provide for camp. So we're not like competing with our 5th graders trying to go to outdoor camp or anything like this. This is a totally separate branch of their program that they run. And they're really, really encouraging people to try to apply. And we just happen to live in a very great area for this program. So I think we have a really good chance of getting the grant. We've also been looking at other fundraising opportunities, and everybody, all the outdoor programs that we've talked to are more than happy to do in-kind gifts for us to do some kind of big fundraiser. They're very, very on board. So we got a lot of people excited to help us with it.
And I forgot to mention, but also on top of the Epic Promise Foundation, which is like more of a grant than like an in-kind gift, but they also offer, Vail Resorts offers an academic excellence pass. So if, let's say, we had 50 kids who had who got the grant scholarships, but we had additional kids that wanted to do it, if they stay above, I think it was a 3.5, but we're not 100% sure, they actually get a free day pass as long as they are above that GPA. So not only are we encouraging outdoor exploration, that mental health aspect, we are trying to get kids to actually care about their grades, and their reward for that is they get to go up and they get to go skiing. So
Before we ask any more questions, Dan, is there anything you wanted to add?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think that when you commit to these kinds of things, you just agree that if you run into a roadblock on one of the issues, kayaking or whatever it might be, you have backup plans. It reminded me of thinking about this when I was a principal in Tenasket. We used to do this, and I forgot about it. We would go up to Sitzmore, which was up on Villa Road. I forgot all about it. And then when I was superintendent in Republic, one of the senior trips, if you can believe it, was to go rock climbing. You know, usually the stuff people say no to before you even consider it. But, you know, so I guess I want to just caution everybody is that we have to be smart, we have to be wise. I think Kim is 100% correct with things that kids need to do based on what the Healthy Youth Survey tells us. I was watching something the other day with some kids that had just come out of the pandemic, and they were kind of talking about their experience. Kids are now 19, 20, 21, and it was kind of riveting to watch and listen to what they said. You know, they just kind of said, well, doing school online, they just roll over and go back to sleep. Maybe I
Yeah.
get up, maybe I don't, and that was so widespread. You know, because you think we're in our own little bubble here in Sultan, but it would be nice to really understand the impact of other communities that went through the same thing. What's it like in Wyoming? What was it like in Kansas? You know, and what is the impact on kids? So, and you also, when I was reading through this, there was a name Blair Corson in there. I had had quite a bit of dialogue with Debbie Koppel several years ago about accessing some of that outdoor experience from Blair and his family and what they do. What you need is the right people to put it together, you know, because if you don't have the right people, and we don't make the right commitments, then it's not something that you can really go forward with. If you have the right people, I'm all in support of it. But you have to develop a communication system that is regular, ongoing, and make sure that the board is always aware of what's going on.
But I think as long as our risk is covered, I think
Yeah,
we're.
yeah, and that's, and you don't ever wanna move forward with something where we're putting, you know, we're working with the public's money. And it's not my money, it's not any of the board's money, it's the public's money.
Well, and, I mean, I'm happy to provide, if you guys want, like, more, documentation of other districts that run very similar programs, cause like the Washington, Student Cycling League is actually huge. Monroe has teams, Cedar Crest has teams, Snohomish has teams. I mean, there's districts all around us that run these programs. Leavenworth, where I come from, has had a team for a long, long time. They also have rock climbing clubs, they also have, I mean, they run all these types of activities, so, I'm happy to get their take on their risk analysis, or if there's anything like that you really need, but, we're not just going out there doing something random that, that other people, before us aren't also doing and
We know
have
you're not.
the risk analysis.
We'll see if anybody has questions. Cameron, do you have any questions? Mike?
No, the risk question was answered. I really appreciate both of you taking the time to do this, because getting our kids out behind the screens and outdoors is a wonderful thing. So I really appreciate that.
This is one of the things that made me the most excited about becoming a teacher, because I teach PE. If you guys don't know, I'm one of the PE teachers at the middle school, and we did an outdoor education part of my degree program while I was teaching skiing. So I'm very excited to commit to this, because I think it'll be great for our kids.
And I don't know if you know my background, but I was a science teacher, a middle school science teacher for a long time, over in Leavenworth and over in Duval and other places, but, we actually got the outdoor education grant over there, and we started taking our kids out for an integrated, we would go on 4 different hikes every single year with every single one of our 7th graders. And it was huge, because some of our kids have never, even though they live there, and which is exactly the same on the other side of the mountain, you know, they just had never gotten the opportunity to go out and try it. And we started a ski program over there on the little ski hill, and we got families excited and taking their kids out and doing it. And, you know, I think there's just so many kids who don't realize what an amazing place they live in Sultan, what amazing resources they have around them, because they just don't get exposed to it. They don't have the people to show them what a great place this is. And I think it'll kind of change our whole mindset and culture around being really excited where it's come from, and at least at the middle school level, which I know is a huge deal for us to get them excited.
Michael, questions?
No, ma'am.
Isaac?
No, it sounds great.
I have no more. Marianne?
Of course I do. Can you clarify for me the name of the club? And I ask because the document says Venture Out Constitution, but Allison's email says Outdoor Club. Is that the same
So the
thing,
name
or
is
is it?
Venture Out, and it's an outdoor recreation
Thank you.
adventure club.
Thank you, that's all.
Yeah, just a bit of a.
Okay.
And the Constitution is just what we'll adopt with because we'll have a student leadership board that runs everything, and they'll have committees that help us plan on all the events.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to approve the Venture Out Club?
I motion to approve the Venture Out Club.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of resolution 2404.
All right, board members, this is the resolution that I had mentioned as part of the budget presentation that we had at 5 o'clock hour. It basically goes into fixing and adopting the appropriation amounts for the various funds for the upcoming year. And as I had mentioned, a budget is, in its very essence, that. It is an authority to expend monies. Obviously, it's based upon anticipated revenues and making sure that the outcome is positive in nature, which we have talked about at the meetings. Questions?
We already had our budget hearing, so were there any questions that came up since 5 o'clock? Mike?
No.
Michael?
No, no.
Isaac?
No.
Mary Ann? No. I have no questions. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 2404?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2404.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we got it.
We'll get that filed this week.
Okay. Approval of PSE CBA.
So Dan and Paul were more intimately involved in the day-to-day negotiations. The contract is there. I think there's a markup version that tracks the issues. There's a copy of the last 23-24 salary schedule, which I attached so you can make comparisons. If you have any questions, I think Paul and Dan, since they were more intimately involved in day-to-day discussions around those issues, can best answer them, though I have certainly have been involved from a distance.
We all got this in our packet, so does anyone, we'll start Cameron. Mike, do you have questions or comments on
No.
this? Michael?
No.
Isaac?
Edmund.
Mary Ann?
No.
I have no questions. Unless you guys have anything further, can we get a motion to approve the PSECBA?
I make a motion to approve the PSECBA.
Say that fast 5 times. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Approval of donation from IBEW 191.
I guess I'm back up. So this was, the genesis of this, I was reached out to by IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 191, had reached out to us as far as meal debt for, that they have annually have a auction or some sort of thing where they get their members, construction companies and things like that, donate various, equipment and tools and stuff, and then they auction this stuff off for proceeds, and then they find an entity. We had come to you previously to ask approval that we be, that we gave our approval for them to use us as the intended recipient of the proceeds from that. So they have now had that event happen, and they wanted to give us the proceeds.
Awesome. I was there.
The focus, maybe you said the senior lunch debt.
Senior, last
Yeah.
year's seniors
Right.
and this upcoming year's seniors,
Right.
so
Really?
2 years.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Cameron? Mike?
No?
Michael?
No.
Isaac?
Nope.
Mary Ann?
No.
Can I get a motion to approve donation from IBEW 191 of $5,900?
Motion to approve IBEW 191 donation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
We'll be bringing a check over this week, I believe,
Okay.
and we'll get it, or deposit.
Thank you. Board categories, we chatted about this a little bit. A board member needs to be a board representative for our committees, which would be policies, WIAA, transportation, curriculum, which is IMC is what it's called, CFAC operations. The one thing we didn't have on here, Kayla, was grants, if that's any movement has come with that, but that needs to be on here also. And then legislative rep. WIAA, is there anyone that's interested? Mike? Anyone want to fight him for it? Transportation,
Don't
Isaac? CFAC and operations,
Sure.
Michael? Okay. And then I think Mike will probably be going to those
Yeah,
meetings also, so.
Yeah.
Grants, Mary Ann, do you still want to do grants?
Yeah, we'll talk about
then we'll get an update and find out if there's, what's going on with that. Policies I'll do with Kayla. I'm already on the IMC, and unless Mike wants to kick me off of that, I'll just stay there. And then legislative rep, it was suggested that maybe we do a co-legislative reps. Marion and I have kind of been doing it together anyway, but suggested that maybe we keep it as co since there's a lot of stuff coming up. Are you okay with that, Marion? So that's the one thing that we do have to vote on would be legislative rep. The other ones are just appointing each other. So, can I get a motion to approve myself and Marianne as co-legislative reps?
I motion to approve Gigi and Marianne to be the co-legislative reps.
None of us can speak tonight. All in,
Just a question, Gigi, for clarification. Typically, these positions, in particular WIA and legislative rep, would report out at board meetings.
Yes.
Try to keep everybody
Yes.
up to speed.
we talked about that on
Okay.
Thursday a little bit, that we would go to the committees, come back, present the information that was, so then when we have our committee reports in the agenda, we actually have stuff to talk about. So yes, that was important. So you made a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, we're good to go then. Discussion of board PLCs.
So what you have in front of you, there was I wanted to take a minute, I think in my board newsletters, I have left the Zoom links and the dates for those on there at the bottom. And if you look at this schedule, this is year 2 of the PLC project that we are committed to as a district. One of the components of this, so you can see the description of the dates and what we're working on. It goes back to the 4 questions which we've talked about. The 3 dates for the board meetings are at the bottom. And it is great if you can make it at the time that they happen, but it isn't absolutely mandatory. What's really important is that if you're working, if you're out of town or whatnot, that when we send you a link to watch the video, that you do that. So you can get, because you can get a feel for what boards are doing as we really try to connect the boardroom to the classroom, and making sure that there's a commitment to the essential standards. When you see challenges with student achievement, it is, in my opinion, a lot of times it's a variety of reasons, but it for sure is a lack of commitment to the essential standards, or not knowing or having it articulated. One of the board goals goes back to our last iteration of a strategic plan, was a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And we want to make sure that every student, whether it's 1st grade, 5th grade, 9th grade, or some other grade, that when they are taking a class, that they can count on, the families can count on, and we hold accountable a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And that essentially is, what are the standards that a student needs to be able to pass algebra at a high level? And then what are the prerequisite things that they need to understand? That's what the schools are working on. As a board, this is what I would encourage you to really dig into and get an understanding of in these particular things. But ask questions, because starting here soon, the schools will actually come and give some updates, included with data, of what is happening with the PLC project in the schools. And so one of the very first things was identification of essential standards. And I think it'll come up here again during my report, but I'll give you a little bit of a. In December, OSPI is going to put out some better clarification on what their belief is the essential standards are. Because one of the things that we learned, and I think we knew all along, is that there's enough standards for kids to go to high school for 10 more years. Graduate when they're 27. So you can see the problem. Who's choosing what, and are we aligned and committed to the same things? And so that can be a real problem. And so we have to make sure that we are committed to, and making sure that everybody is, if they don't know what the guaranteed and viable curriculum is that we are reporting back to the board that we know where our holes are and we know what needs to be fixed. And that's a question I think you need to ask and keep asking.
I think I'm the only one here that was there when we started this, right? When we approved it, it was the previous.
PLC project?
Yeah.
I think you're correct. So if I talk too far ahead, I apologize.
No, I think that what we went over before, because I think Mary Ann, you were on a couple of them.
Yeah, Mary Ann was part of it.
So,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
done a couple.
yeah, so I think the ones that we did already would be great to send out to these guys so they are caught up,
About an hour and a half.
yeah.
You can watch, as there's several school district board members, and you'll find out, oh, I'm not alone. There's a board member in Hawaii that's trying to understand this. There's a board member in Arkansas that's trying to understand this. We're part of a national group, because at the time we joined, there was not interest from, I think, 10 school districts to do it. So that's good and bad. Bad part is that it kind of, it conflicts with the beginning of school. We've had to work around that with us. But that's an easy conflict to deal with, we just have to deal with it.
I think we should do a workshop on
Yes.
this so that everybody's kind of on the same page. And the 3 on here that have listed, there's 2 different times you can do them. And it was great last time because we did them and then Dan got on with us when we did it, so then we were able to talk about it afterwards, so.
Yeah.
And then if you can't, then obviously.
And that's the
they'll be
value,
recorded, but-
that's the value. If missing out on that, there is something lost when we're not able to discuss it real time.
But yeah, I think we should do a workshop to get everybody on the same page since,
So let's put that under the menu and we'll make sure that we do it. We've got, first one isn't until October of 2024, so we'll get the links to the taped ones and send them out to everybody.
perfect, thank you. Discussion of WASDA Annual Conference. That is in November 21st through the 23rd. As discussed, it's great to get as many people to go as possible. I know Cameron is able to go. Does anyone have any issues with the board attending or questions about this? Michael,
No questions.
Isaac?
Nope.
Marianne?
My only issue is I have an electric car and you have an electric car and charging takes an hour and we're driving to Spokane.
Don't you
I have a regular car, but we can also take district transportation if we like, but,
Or a train.
we've got,
That's a good idea.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
You're driving.
so, I know, Mike, you said you cannot go?
No.
Okay, Michael, you were able, right?
Yeah, I should go.
Isaac said heck no?
We'll see.
And
I
you,
could make her
you're
come.
available, right? Okay, and I don't know if you're available or not, Dan.
I am.
The earlier we buy tickets, the cheaper it is, so I'll get with Kayla about that, and, it's really good, it's really, Mary Ann was able to go last year, and you learn a lot of things from other people, and I'm excited that Cameron's gonna go, cause the students there are just like have a blast.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it last time I went. It was great.
All right, so that is that discussion. Review of WASDA General Assembly positions. That is in the board packet, so it's wonderful reading. I will send out sometime this week, maybe like a spreadsheet that you guys can just put yes or no if you want to agree with a position or not. And that's kind of all you have to do. And then the day of, we vote yay or nay. Did anybody have questions on it after you looked over it a little bit? No? Okay. Second read of policy 3226, interviews and interrogations of students on school premises. Did any one have anything come up after the first read on this one? Cameron? Mike?
No.
Michael?
No.
Isaac?
Nope.
Marianne?
No.
All right, can I get a motion to approve second read of policy 3226, interviews and interrogations on students on school premises? No one wants to motion because they don't want to read that whole thing. You can just read it off of the agenda.
I motion to pass the second read, or the policy 3226, interviews and interrogations of students on school premises.
I have, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Second read of policy 3232, procedure, parent and student rights and administration of surveys, analysis, or evaluation. Did anyone have any questions come up? Cameron, Michael, Mike,
No.
Isaac, Marianne?
Nope.
Can I get a motion to approve second read of policy 3232, procedure, parent and student rights and administration of surveys, analysis, or evaluation?
I make a motion to approve the procedure for parent and student rights and administration of surveys, analysis, and evaluation known as policy 3232P.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. Second read of policy 3411, accommodating students with seizure disorders or epilepsy. Any questions down the table?
No questions.
No.
No? Can I get a motion to approve second read of policy 3411, accommodating students with seizure disorders or epilepsy?
Okay, I make a motion to approve accommodating students with seizure disorders or epilepsy known as policy 3411.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes.
Can I make a comment on those, just,
Yes.
just a second? 10, 11, and 12 were second, these all came about as a
Parental right.
follow-up to the parental rights bill that was passed out of the legislature, and so those three are related directly to that.
All right, we have a first read, policy 3122, excused absences. Dan, do you have anything you want to?
Yeah, this is, the reason why this was brought to the board is that our schools administrators and staff are working very hard to improve attendance. We only have so much control over that, but we're in a place right now where the commissioner in Snohomish County is working with us in a really positive way. And so the addition to this is that just because a parent calls and excuses an absence doesn't mean that it's necessarily excused, but there's a pattern to it. And so this addresses kind of a secondary level of what may still mean that there is a truancy here. Just because I, as a parent, continue every day, day after day to excuse my son, I've got two sons, my son's absences, doesn't mean that if the school district suspects that there's something else going on, that can still be considered or construed as an unexcused absence.
We did
This
have a
gives-
question that came
Okay,
up,
okay.
I forget, that Michael brought up, the presence versus participation. So participation such as turning video on and participating in discussion or chat are not to be considered when determining if a student is present or not. So these are examples of participation and should be considered distinct from attendance. So Michael, do you want to?
I mean, the whole thing was with remote learning, which, I don't know how much more goes on, but I mean, as someone who does a lot of remote meetings, I can tell you how many people sign in and then walk away from a computer and leave it dead. My curiosity is what do we have? I mean, beyond requiring participation or turning on their video, and I understand why video specifically was brought up as a problem. What's to prevent a kid from signing into class and walking away and being considered
Present.
present?
The only situation that currently would occur would be Sultan Virtual Academy.
Okay.
There's currently 20 to 25 students enrolled.
Uh-huh.
We can pay attention to that and look at it, but it's not a situation where we have all 2,000 kids doing some sort of remote learning. I understand what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I participate in many remote meetings, and you can't tell if somebody's there or not because they block their screen or
Mhm.
whatnot. This is really, I think, designed to get those kids that are being excused
Uh-huh.
by a parent that aren't attending, period, at all.
Sure.
Even though, and based on the decisions that the parent is making, the student is losing out on something they should be required to do.
On this particular paragraph, we're just curious if there's anything we can add in there to make it so that we know
You
the students
can.
are there.
You guys are the policymakers, you can. And if
We wanted to make sure there was some legally we
So,
were able to
yeah,
do that.
I guess I'm asking, please change that so there is something
Okay,
that would indicate that the student is actually present at their computer.
okay. We
rather
can add
than
a
just
line
saying
that
what doesn't
says,
count as being present.
presence versus participation is this will require, because what we used to do, now that I'm remembering those days again, is
Mhm.
kids couldn't block their screen.
Sure.
They had to have a picture of them going, and so that wasn't an option. Isn't that right, Cam?
No,
You didn't have to
kids-
have your camera on.
No, you did not. You didn't have, you could be muted
Well,
and you
then-
didn't have to have
then
your
I
camera
was-
on. All you had to have was your name on your screen.
Because there's issues with cameras on, some
There was a
parents didn't
bunch
want
of-
that.
Especially like certain households, people couldn't, if you showed your screen, it'd be really distracting to students, and then others couldn't
Yeah,
unmute themselves.
I remember that too.
Yeah,
We had
that
this,
was the thing.
this very discussion, because there were some
Yeah.
situations where it probably was best that it was off.
Yeah.
You have to verify that they're there.
So we were thinking like they're, like somebody using their mouse, you know, there's
Yeah,
some
was it called
ways
the mouse
to,
button?
So sometimes people just.
I don't remember, but.
so have
monitor
maybe
from
Dave
mouse
check
movement.
into that or something, that might be something to, just some way that we can assure that the kids,
Actually there.
yeah.
So
they're there.
we have a principal here if you want to get some input on that. I don't know.
Input,
Well,
we do have one principal,
I
oh,
was
Sure.
two principals, we have two principals in the
We were
room.
curious if we could see the board policy.
yeah, the policy is basically the one that was given to us through WASDA.
Can you put it up or not?
Yeah, she can.
I don't have the board packet.
Let it, yeah, let it go. So presence versus,
Yeah, that's the only one
Participation.
that we had any questions on,
this is the section we're talking about.
yeah.
Just turn the video on.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What platform is used when they hold virtual classes? Is it like Teams or is it Zoom?
Zoom.
It was Zoom.
That's what we use for Zoom, yeah.
I was thinking because with Teams, you know, your icon is green when you're active and it turns yellow if you don't move your mouse, so maybe that's.
There we go.
Something like that is what we were,
Yeah.
you know, discussing, that we just, so we would know that kids are actually there. So if maybe we can approve the first read with the caveat that we're gonna look into changing that paragraph.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions about it or comments or whatever? Okay.
If we, thing is, I guess my thing is, if we continue to use Zoom, I think you're gonna struggle getting to know if people are truly present or not. I think if you truly want to know if people are present, it's finding a different app
Yeah.
or website to use, just because with Zoom, it's so hard to tell with kids. It's, a lot of times teachers, anytime they try to get us attendance without using a mic or a camera, would type in the chat and then people wouldn't do it.
Well, hopefully we never have to go back to
That's
that where all of us have to use it, so, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that Sultan Virtual Academy has their own ways to track and make sure kids are there, so this is kind, you know, just,
Well, sure.
if
I
we
mean,
ever have COVID
And
comes
maybe
back.
just writing in whatever the virtual academy uses is enough. I'm just saying, there should be
I
something.
believe they use Blackboard, which is a similar.
Blackboard, I'm familiar with Blackboard.
So can we
so I
get
don't know
an,
what
a motion to approve first read of policy 3122, excused absences, with, the guidance to update the presence versus participation section?
I make a
Before
motion
you
to,
do that,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't see this before it went out. Can I, is it possible to address, or do I need to come to a
You could, we
direct
can address
time?
it between first and second reading. So the
Okay.
board has directed me to do some things. I can make some more changes, get some more input.
Yeah, we're only approving this, and it goes, moves on to the
We
next
would
one.
love, to have
Okay.
a voice in
Okay.
what's
If,
happening
because
on the
if you don't,
kids'
if you're unhappy
part
with
of
what we
it,
bring forward,
if we
it'll.
could.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because we're just, because it has to go through multiple
Yeah,
reads,
no
so,
problem.
yeah.
I, whenever it's appropriate. Thank you.
Yes, just bug Dan.
can I say, having, been with 7 brothers and sisters and being the oldest daughter growing up, my mother was very big on, oh, you wanna stay home today? You go right ahead, I'll write you a note. And she'd write, oh, Marianne is out sick. I missed a lot of school. And so, this is a good thing, and I did truancy for 2 years previously for the district. And the threshold was at that time 8 days. That's basically 1 day a month that you can miss. If you miss more than 1 day a month, you're gonna go into truancy, and more than necessary absences. So I think this is a great thing, and I would like to make that motion to adopt, first read, excused and unexcused absences with those noted changes that we asked for?
Yes, and instead of adopt, approve the first
Approve,
read,
first
yes.
read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And then, yeah, if you can get with one of the ladies
I
on
will,
some
I will
changes.
definitely do that.
First read of policy 6216.
You can see that the changes are minor, from shall to will, and recognition that board chair may also be a female, as in our case, not chairman.
Oh, that wasn't in there before? What year is it? That's pretty sad. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments on the 6216? Besides it's very outdated and misogynistic? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 6216?
I motion for the policy 6216 route.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. Policies for September are attached, if you want to take a look at them before then. And we have superintendent's report.
Okay. And so if you look on here, 3 items. First one, just wanted to give you official notice. I will write you a letter, but I want to put it in the record that the 24-25 school year will be my last. It is my intention to retire, resign, and give the board plenty of time to enter into a search. 32 years in education, 20 as a superintendent in a couple of different districts. It's time to move on. So, and I'll address it more fully as we get into it. But my last day would be officially June 30th of 2025. There's 2 years on my contract. I'm just going to do the last one this year. And so, obviously thankful. When we got here, our kids weren't in school, and kind of envisioned staying a few years, and then they get engaged in activities, and that changes. And then, start thinking about it a little again when they were in high school, and the pandemic hit, and that was the beginning of the end. The best I could say. So, anyway, I'm thankful to the community. I love the lifestyle here, and I think there is some really good challenges that it would be really important to have a fresh look at with growth and moving into kind of a new mindset community-wide, hopefully, that will allow some of the things that need to happen. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you for all the years. It's a lot of years.
It is hard to believe. I'll be 61. I used to think that was old, but I'm feeling pretty young. So I'm going to do something else, just don't know what.
Thank you.
And the second thing, just some updates, and I've kind of addressed these a little bit, and I'll get more specifics on this, but Part A here addresses the director training on the essential standards from OSPI. I think there are some, I'll get some more specifics and I'll send it to you in one of my updates on, just from a board member's perspective, understanding that better, because I think our student achievement, our student success, our teacher success will be partially determined by our ability to get everybody on board with a guaranteed and viable curriculum and support around that. Otherwise, it's an overwhelming endeavor trying to meet all of these needs. And the challenge in this profession, I guess like many, is the dailiness of it. It's not like you build a chimney and you get to see how many bricks you put on it every day. You're working with human beings that have different needs, different challenges, and different aspirations, and our ability to know how to deal with that is critical. So that will come. OSPI rules, releases emergency rules update for student discipline. If you look, I don't know if you can put these up there, Kayla, if you can go to a different screen, but I put the WAC side by side there, and I guess what I would recommend to the board is that we get a, direct me to get a committee together here in the district, a couple of principals, a couple of teachers, director, and we evaluate what really changed with these, and then put in place what needs to happen as far as aligning our policy and procedure to what is actually happening. And then the last thing is a kind of a question for the board members, I think. Open Public Meetings Act training, you're supposed to do it within the first 90 days of becoming a board member, and then once every 4 years thereafter. And so, I think Gigi, you had sent the link out for that. Really easy to do, it's a matter of just, scheduling some time to do it, and it's,
Has anyone done it?
I watched those awful videos.
That's great, isn't it? Every 4 years is all. Isaac, have you done it yet?
The videos?
The open public meeting training?
I believe so.
Sure. That's not very.
we'll
Convinced.
send the link out again, and
We did it last year.
it's easy to, say I'll do this later or whatever, and it's not like the WASDA or OSPI police come around and check you, but I think it's important
We do.
that we try to monitor, that we do our part. We're asking others to, meet standards, follow deadlines, and that, as board members, we try to do the same. So, did you say they do?
The police. You said-
WASDA
You
police.
said the WASDA police won't check, and I said, I didn't know.
And then finally, if there are any questions, just want to thank these groups. There's a $5,900 one for lunch debt, IBEW, that I know they reached out to Dan, and I was part of the email strings, and so there's been a lot of generosity granted towards the school district, and in particular, at the end of all this, is our students. And so I want to be really thankful for that. And one that's not mentioned here is the school board also donated to the backpack giveaway that happened Saturday, Sunday. So Saturday. So I want to thank you guys for that. There it is.
And I want to say Kayla and the 3 student support advocates were there handing out stuff and talking to people, and it was awesome. They did a good job.
Yeah, so it's, I think it's particularly nice to, experience some of the giving and thinking of others that seems to have been missing from our daily lives for a while. So I appreciate that. That's all I have.
Cameron, did you have anything that you wanted to, since we skipped over you?
Oh,
For your,
I can do my little spiel.
you were an approved late start.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Cameron Ski. I'm a senior at Sullivan High School now, and thanks. My little spiel is basically our fall sports have started. So football started last week, volleyball and girls soccer start this week, and then I believe cheer also started last week, if I remember correctly. And yeah, right now it's all of our kind of sports, our fall sports are really getting to their practices right now, and our ASB just had their first basically meeting today, so we've gotten some things approved and got things rolling, kind of stuck in at homecoming, what that looks like, and then we're thinking of having a winter formal this year too, to kind of, since with being not in a league right now, how those football games are working, just working with that right now. But yeah, that's what's kind of going on.
Awesome, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in
Mike,
favor?
Dan, Paul, Heather, Kim, thank you for coming.
All
Good
in
to see you,
favor?
Polly.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you for being here.
Is everyone-
Post them.